everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast and happy Halloween. Hallmark has forgotten about Halloween and fall in general. They skipped over it. And so we thought it would be fun as a special surprise, I guess, podcast. Not that you don't have enough podcasts to listen to, but it would be fun to do something for Halloween. And actually, if you're watching the video version, you can see our amazing costumes.
Yours has a little bit more effort.
Here, we wanted to find out where is Waldo, and here she is.
Oh, right there. Right there.
Yeah, it's the Hallmarkies podcast. That's where they are. So you want to check out the video of this one. It's pretty fun. And
yeah, I just have bats coming out of my head.
Yeah.
Fly, bats, fly.
Yes. So this is our October episode of On Friendship, which I have been so pleased with the response to these episodes.
Yeah, me too. I'm not trying to get fired. No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, because they're not explicitly about love, and they're really long. We always go really long. So
sorry.
No, it's my fault
sorry,
as well.
Not sorry.
Yeah, we just have a really good time. And if you don't understand what we're talking about, if you're new to the podcast, every month since June, me, Rachel, and Dr. Alysa Lucas, have done a special episode on friendship where we look at a Hallmark movie or Hallmark-like movie from the lens of friendship. And they've always done some of the best of the whole month, which is really pretty impressive.
Hey, I'm not surprised because friendship matters.
Yes, that's right. It's like the My Little Ponies. Friendship is magic.
Exactly. That's right. So I'm not surprised. Thank you, listeners.
Yes. So I admit this one isn't that much about friendship. It's a little bit.
I thought it was cute. It was fine.
But I like it so much, and I think there's enough stuff to talk about, and it's really Halloween-y. And so I just thought it would be a fun one for us to talk about. We are talking about the film October Kiss. And so this one came out in 2015, and it stars Ashley Williams, Sam Jaeger in the two lead roles. And then you have Miranda Frigone as sort of the other woman character. And what was your overall thoughts about this movie?
Well, and I think it's important as a reminder as we go into this movie that I am someone who grew up on Lifetime. I grew up in the sketchy...
the cautionary tales.
Thank you, cautionary tales. But my mom loves Hallmark, and so I've watched with her. And ever since I started guesting on Hallmarkies podcast, I'll watch a movie and be like, wow, that made me feel better. Maybe there's too much stress in the world. And I've really started to become a fan.
Yes.
and I really enjoyed October Kiss. I thought the cast was great. I thought the lead, you know how they call from New Girl, they call her adorkable. Yeah. That's what the vibes I got from the lead woman in this movie. I love Sam Jaeger, whatever his name is, from Parenthood. And so I was all on board from the beginning. So good pick.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I really like this one. I think that Ashley Williams is just so cute in this movie.
She's precious. Absolutely. A sweet baby. She's so precious. I was like, how has she not found her dreams yet?
Right.
How is she not connected with like another human being yet? I was surprised, but
she's the kind of person that in real life would probably super irritate me. Just like, go find something to do with your life. Go away. Like she's too. But in this movie, she is so cute, and so I mean, how anybody could not just be completely won over by her.
She won over the kids first off.
Yeah.
I think she might even won over the other woman. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite sort of Hallmark tropes, is the idea of sort of the lonely widower who needs help with his kids.
Yeah. Because I don't know how to do it myself.
Yeah. And this is written by a woman named Mackenzie Austin, and she has done 2 films for Hallmark. And the second one was from earlier this year in the Winterfest called Winter Love Story. And despite that very boring name, it was the title. It was actually pretty good.
Sorry, that was funny. I was gonna say Mackenzie did good with October Kiss. I might have to go check out this other one.
It was pretty cute. It had Jen Lilly in it and Kevin McGarry, and it was pretty good. I'm sure some of the publishing aspects are ridiculous, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty cute. And I also normally kind of hate the trope of the workaholic dad who has to leave the meeting in order to, spend time with his kids. I normally hate that trope. Mary Poppins did it and nobody else has done it well.
Well, the thing about it is who's scheduling meetings on Halloween? Anyone with children.
Right.
That assumes that mothers are the only caregivers that are going to be in the house and ones that take care of that holiday. And it's no, it doesn't matter what parent I am. I would want to be there to see my kids dressed up. How fun is that? And so, and I mean, me and my brothers had some pretty dumb outfits and we had some good ones, but I feel like I don't feel like my dad missed many things. And so, I don't like that. But
my dad worked from home, so it was a very different situation.
Yeah.
But even then, I know it just usually comes off as really phony because kids understand, dad has to work, he has a job, and especially the ones where it's in the middle of the meeting and you're
but again, why is the big meeting on Halloween? Schedule it the day before. No one's doing anything on Devil's Night. Let's go.
Yeah. Or even have it at 4:30.
Yeah, why does it have to be when everyone's trick-or-treating? That's the thing. I'm you're in charge of schedules, people. You can make changes. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's saying a lot. That's normally a trope I just usually falls so flat for me. But I still like this movie. It still works for me. I think it's so cute. So let's talk about it.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay, good. So what did you think about her, just the worst yoga person in the world?
I just like how she's to the woman who's basically, you're doing it wrong. And she's do you want to teach? She has no problem admitting when she's not good at something and is going to lift up other when they are good at it. But she is absolutely the worst person to teach yoga. It was painful. But it was immediately, again, adorable. It's the adorable and dork, mixed together. And I think that that's what all of her jobs have been. And it's I don't think she knows what she wants to do in life. She can't figure it out. And people make a real fine living doing yoga, but she's not one of those people.
I mean, and also sort of, I don't know, they have to sort of set this up that she's just the worst at making pizza. She's the worst at doing yoga. But I feel a little just study. She seemed to know the moves well enough, but she didn't know the names or how to, it's don't you have to who hired this woman to teach the yoga classes? That's what I wondered.
I just feel she's a really nice person. And I think that she probably has friends and her sisters obviously looking out for her. So this guy she ends up going to work for is someone she knows through her sister, or she got the job through her sister. So I feel her life has been nothing but favors from other people.
I think that's true.
And it's but the thing about it is she's the kind of person who, or at least how they present her, she can to anything more than a very certain amount of time. They set that up pretty standard that when she does something, it lasts a couple days, maybe a couple hours.
Yeah.
And so maybe, and why is that the case? Has she just not found what she wanted to do? Is she afraid of failure? Is she a perfectionist? Is she I mean, I don't think we went into the background of that. I feel like what she found was the space that she needed to be in and what she was good at. But I think that, what do you think it took her? 37 years?
That's why I say I think she would super irritate me in real life. I would be like, oh my gosh, lady.
Well, it's even like someone like, there's jobs that people hold. Like, I mean, you couldn't even figure out. Well, I don't even want to say that because I can't do yoga. So it's not like I think it's an easy job, but you're right. Like, she could study, she could practice, she could
Yeah.
do kids yoga. I mean, there's a perfect thought.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think she's expecting, she even says, I haven't found the thing I'm really good at, but I don't think that anybody is really good at anything without a certain degree of sort of work and a learning curve kind of involved. And she obviously finds out that she is meant to basically be a mother. I feel like that's sort of her. She can
win over her nephews. She's sort of a child whisperer. And to be honest, I think she would have found this out way long. But like, that would have happened years ago. I feel like, that she would have started babysitting when she was 13 and then just never stopped.
Yeah. Well, and it is kind of sad to me when, like, I have never been the most like maternal, like just one of those people that's just dying to have children. Like, if that were to happen, I mean, I'm nearing the finish line of when it could happen, but like if it were to happen,
that finish line,
then that would be great. And I would, I think I could do it, but it's not something that I felt like I was meant to do. Something that, and I do feel genuinely really bad for women that they have that in their heart and that's what they feel like they should be doing. And it's just not happened. And I kind of feel there's one person in particular I'm thinking of that in my life who has tried a bunch of different jobs. She's even gone to college, a bunch of different things. She's never found anything that really stuck. Yeah. And I think because in reality, she just wanted to be a mom. That's where her heart was, but she never got that opportunity for a variety of reasons. And I feel bad. That's hard.
Yeah, because it's like, a lot of times people, they might find their mate and then have children, and it's, before you have all the different paths that you go down trying to figure out who you are, what you want to do, or those sorts of things, because you found the thing that you're looking for. And much like in life, all our paths are different. It takes us longer to find what it is. I kind of feel like as good as she was at getting kids to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
pay attention.
Get it together. Like, I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. That I think she would have found it a little bit sooner, but it's the story. And I think that one of the things though, is that maybe she didn't discover it right away because maybe she's not exactly a baby whisperer. Maybe she's more of a tween whisperer, like maybe. Toddlers to tween.
A very rare find.
I'm talking like lucky. the kindergarten to second grade lockdown. Right?
I mean, I kind of feel like at this point, it's more likely than not if I am to get married. Mr. Sunshine, if you're out there, I'm available. But if I were to get married, then I think that it's more likely that I would marry someone with children.
Yeah.
So I hope.
I mean, that's something to consider though, too, is that, as people age or they go through life and they have experiences, that there are people who paths have not taken them in that same direction yet. And then it might be someone else's another path in the same, maybe a loop around, so to speak, and you catch up. So yeah, I think that is very possible. Like I think I'm in the same boat as you. And maybe that was the case for her, is that she's never found anyone. And so this is her time.
I mean, I'm surprised she never considered becoming a teacher. That seems very natural for her.
You have to commit to like a whole academic year. That's true. Some places go year round, don't they? I don't know. They're on balanced year schedules.
Yeah, that's true.
I I don't have kids, so I don't. But I'm assuming. I mean, I'm a teacher, so but at college level, so I do have to commit to at least like September to May.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know what she would be great at is like teaching the music section or something. You know what I mean? How sometimes there's people in schools who aren't actually like teachers. Obviously there's some music teachers who are, but there's some who are kind of just visiting. I don't know.
No, it's something like people who do other things for children, like some level of like the level of connection. Like I think she would be good, like in the.
I guess a nanny is maybe perfect.
Position. Yeah. Well, I'm like thinking in school, like. Yeah, I think she'd be really creative. Like maybe she comes in and does like the theater show with kids. But certainly there are people, I mean, arts are always the first to get cut. So it's like those people probably would have full-time positions if we didn't cut art and music first.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a hill I'll die on.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, teachers.
Yes.
Teachers rock.
And I just remember having so much. I mean, Halloween in general is just the best thing ever for kids. It's
oh gosh, yes,
unbelievable. Like, have you ever heard the Jerry Seinfeld thing about kids and Halloween?
No, tell me.
It's the most hilarious. I love it. He's like, do you remember when he first heard about it? Everyone that we know is just giving out candy. He's like, I got to be a part of this.
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, I look young. Can if I go in a costume, maybe someone will give me candy this year. And here's the thing: I don't pass out candy. Sorry, kids. If you're listening with your teacher moms or dads, I'm not passing.
I have a little bit, but I don't get that many.
I don't get very many people
because it's a gated community, so we don't get that many.
Well, I also when I moved into this, I lived in an apartment complex before, and you're not gonna get kids unless they plan something specifically. But now that I'm in a house, well, the first year I was here, I had a deadline, and then the next year, I think there was something else that was due, and so it's just like I end up sitting in the back of the house with all my lights off in the front, so people don't come knock on my door, and I feel like the worst. Because all the kids are trying to do is get candy. And the thing about it is when I first started like trick-or-treating, I had like the classic orange Halloween tub, like that looks like the pumpkin. But when we upgraded to our pillowcases, watch out, we were coming for all the candy.
We totally did the pillowcase, and we would dump out the candy and sort it. And it was the best thing ever. Like, I absolutely love Halloween.
Which, again, brings it back to this movie. Why are you having anything on Halloween? Because if you're parents of those kids, you know you're ransacking all that candy and pulling out your favorites.
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
Like, I don't know
That's true. What is the best Halloween candy?
I mean, Kit Kat for me is always like it's a good go-to.
I'm a Reese's girl myself because I love chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kit Kat is definitely my top 5 for sure.
I just know that I didn't like, and no offense to anyone who does this, because I will eat them every day now, but I was not happy to get pennies or raisins.
Yes. Agreed. Raisins.
Good. I like Three Musketeers a lot.
Yeah, now there's supposedly people are giving away little like bags of carrots and stuff. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
I mean, that's probably what I could use in my life now as an adult. But as a kid, this is the time to get the sugar.
Yeah, that's right.
Tierney, she is no joke. You will go to my friend's house and she hands out full candy bars. And the kids are always like, oh my God. I can have a whole candy bar. It's like,
yeah, that's the
best lady on the block.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, so she decides to make these business cards, say temporarily for you, business card.
Because she can't commit to anything. Yeah.
So she's just basically like a temp, but
whatever
for her career. She's a temp.
She's a temp at anything and everything.
Yes. And so her sister recommends her as a nanny for this guy that she knows from church or something like that. And I can't remember how they met. But anyway, and he is your hot widower. And there's nothing better in a Hallmark movie than a hot widower.
He's very attractive.
Because if you're a hot widower, you've got that that deepness, that intensity.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like they've been through some stuff. Like they've been through some human experience. And I just started watching. I watched all the episodes I could on CBS, the new TV show called The Unicorn, and it has a similar premise in the sense that not that there's a nanny that comes in, but he's a widower and it's been a year, and so his friends and his daughters are like encouraging him to get back out there. And it's pretty funny. Like his friends are funny, and it's a wholesome, funny show. And it stars Walton Goggins, who has look him up on IMDb. He's done everything from Quentin Tarantino to
Ant-Man. And
he's been in everything. Yeah. I mean, he's a fantastic actor, and I really enjoy that. But that's the thing is, like, that's one of the points they say. They're like, you're like catnip to these women. And it's like, because I mean, to me, like, there is something about that that's sad, that it's like, oh my God, you are the guy that has everything that women are looking for, but you had to go through some human trauma to get there. But I think really what it comes down to is that there is proof that this person has been committed and in a family and have kids and things like that. And I think that is a lot of that.
Well, yeah, because it's easier to do than him being divorced, because that presents all kinds of conflict. And
yes. Yeah.
Just fun. But yeah, so we have this whole kind of thing that she says that she's a mermaid, and then the kids are like, what? She's not a mermaid, which is funny.
The kids the oldest daughter hates her.
So Zoe is her name. And Zoe is just mad at her about everything. And little Zach is afraid of spiders.
Little Zach is probably also a little afraid of his sister, so he doesn't like her to start off either. And I think it's important to point out that they've had who knows how many nannies.
Right.
And so this basically has to work, essentially. And she comes in, and the kids are like not nasty, but like right off the bat, there's a cold front coming in. You know what I mean? It's not pretty. It's not a warm welcome. But part of me would be like, bye. Yeah.
She is so cute with these kids, though. She takes them to this festival, and then there's those goats, and Zoe gets super mad about the goats
because the goat ruined her, like chewed on her sweater or something.
Yeah,
and any tween girl especially is probably gonna flip out. I'd probably be like, oh, a goat, let's play with the goat. But we're different.
And so she tells her sister, I've never done this before, I'm going to quit. And then about her nephews, she says, they have to be nice to me because we're related. Yeah. And you know, their sister says, I get it, kids are a huge commitment even when they aren't yours. But she makes the commitment that she's going to work for them through Halloween.
Yeah.
And the sister says, how am I supposed to vicariously live through my sister's dating life if she doesn't have a dating life?
That's totally a sister, which I think what they showcase in this movie, though, although secondary and not necessarily an important part overall to the story, but I did think they showcased sort of like sisters being friends.
Yeah, I do.
Like, and her sister like looking out for her and getting these jobs, but her being over there as an aunt and being involved in their lives and things like that. So they come back and they're like drinking wine at the end of the night. And, you know, I was like, is there a husband in this scenario? Like we never see if she's married or there's a dad or there's another partner or anything else. It's like, they were like, you know what?
Yeah,
not important. True. We're not even going to hire someone to stand in for a scene.
Right. Yeah, so that's true.
That's important, is like that they are really important to each other's life. And I think her sister wants to see her do well. And so, but also wants to see her date so that she can live vicariously. That's the only hint that she's married, is because she wants to sort of jump in and sidecar her sister's romantic relationship, which she doesn't have one. She's temporarily watching kids through October, and he's got someone else that he works with that he seems to be interested in. So
yeah, we'll talk some more about that. But
yeah.
let's talk for a second about this app. Because this is a little bit friends-ish.
Yeah.
So the app is called Food with Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is if you're dining alone, then you can, on the app, find other people dining alone, and then you're not dining alone anymore. What do you think of this overall concept?
I mean, I appreciate anything that's going to put connection and inclusion and friendship and the, not rejection at the forefront. So I say kudos. However, apps, like, I just feel like we're anxious people. And I don't mind eating alone. And so I think it would make me more nervous to try to find someone on an app to eat with than it would be just to get my food and come home and sit with my cats and dog and just
yeah.
So part of me, but if like you are seeking connection, okay, but I think that there would actually be a lot of stand-ups because people aren't going to go through with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for younger people, I can see it working a little bit better.
Tinder.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I had a student once say that she met people on Tinder so that she could get food. So this already exists.
Yeah. I feel like
the darndest things from college students.
Also, I just don't know, how do you make money off something like this? How is it monetizable? Are people really going to, pay so much per month or
advertisements, maybe food deals? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. There could be food deals.
They didn't really run through that. We didn't get a chance to go to the meeting with him to know what the app was truly about. Yeah. But here's the thing. I think we live in a world where there are people who can become closer together because of the internet, that we can be further apart even when we're face-to-face or in town or geographically close. So I appreciate all that. And I love when I see stories like you see like preschools or in retirement homes or elderly homes, because you have that connection. There's other groups that make sure that the elderly get out, and what's the Meals on Wheels? Like, there are things that already exist in the world that I think would indicate something like that is needed. But yeah, maybe I'm giving it a thumbs down because I'm not the target audience.
Yeah. Well,
I'd rather eat alone.
Like, I am more comfortable with strangers than the average person.
Yeah.
Like, I've been twice in my life. I've started I've gone to book clubs where I didn't really know anybody, but it was on meetup.com or it was on whatever. Yeah. And I wanted to be in a book club. So I would just go. And a lot of times people thought, wow, that was really brave of you. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem that brave to me, and it worked out great. So yeah, but I feel like that's different than I just want to eat lunch in peace. Yeah. Like, I just don't want to, I don't care about having company.
So maybe it's, something like that. Maybe it's something like to celebrate a special day and you're by yourself, or to, I don't know. Like,
it's a better app than some
holiday. Yeah.
Like the other day, we were talking about one of the mystery movies on Hallmark, and there was this sleuther app that was the most lazy app I've ever seen. At least
was it Google for detectives? Like, what is this?
Basically, it was. It was like a Google detective, and at least this feels like semi-plausible. I feel like.
I mean, it's essentially a different way to do Meetup or Bumble Friend, or, bring Meals to Wheels on apps, things like that. So as someone who wants to see connection increase because it has such a negative impact on our health, I appreciate the effort. And what I would be interested in knowing is, but one of the things is, I think that it might come out of the fact that he is a widower. Right? That maybe not having someone to eat with. Right. And and so, but then I'm like, but also if that's the route, it's like, then you're looking maybe for dating apps. I don't know.
but it's got a big international buyout as possible. This is taking up so much time. And so
who knew?
Yeah. And so she takes the kids to go Halloween shopping, costume shopping, and we find out that this spider fear is very intense. I mean, even a
For the kid.
ridiculous costume, kind of a thing. He gets very scared, and it was funny to me. She's like, spiders, but no zombies. Zombies he loves.
Well, what I love is that like their house hadn't been decorated yet because like the dad has been so busy, and that's something they used to do with their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she took them shopping, I think, without knowing that, but was just like trying to find a way to maybe engage with them and connect with them and kind of get them on her side, since they didn't believe she was a mermaid, but trying to get her on their side, and then really decorating and having a good time doing it. And so she's building sort of an allyship with these young kids. And then the dad doesn't even notice, and that makes me so mad. How do you drive in your own? Wouldn't you think it was a different house? They had lights, they had things coming out of the ground, they had like a graveyard section, they had like all the stuff.
Yeah, like it was a lot. Like that was.
It could have been inside of the Halloween store they went to.
Yeah, they probably spent $300 on those decorations.
Where is she getting
a lot
from?
I don't know.
I was like, your temporary business cards probably were expensive enough.
Yeah. That was really lame that he didn't notice.
The worst.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll have more time when I get through this presentation. And
that's November, bro.
Yeah, that's right. Especially if you know that your spouse, who it couldn't have been that long ago that she passed. We're not 100% sure. I don't think. Maybe it says it, but anyway, especially if you know that Halloween and decorating for Halloween were especially important and something that your spouse did, then I think it's especially important that you be very like there as a parent and very like aware and maybe notice if your whole lawn is taken up by decor.
I mean, he could have totally, there was so much of the stuff, but on like in his defense, like not only, they lost their mother, he lost the mother of his children and his wife and potentially his best friend. And he could be having a hard time too. And I think sort of what I gather from it is that he's become so focused on work as a way to maybe cope with it. And so one of the things, and I don't mean to bring it up again, is just because it's the last thing I watched, but on the show with the unicorn, he has friends that are helping with the kids and doing other things. And he doesn't really seem to have anyone in his corner. Right. And so like having a nanny like her, he starts to have someone in his corner. And I think that's when he starts to realize that he is making mistakes. But I think it's also important to note that he is someone who's also grieving. And we want to be like, hey, eyes up, buddy. There's lights everywhere. And when you come in and they're all like waiting, like looking at you, waiting for your reaction, you probably missed something.
No, it's that's a very, very good point. And he does seem like such a sweet dad. And I think that's maybe part of the reason why the workaholic trope works in this case, is because there's never a sense that he is a bad man of business.
No. Ever.
Like there's just something immediately likable about him. There's just me like you kind of want to give him a hug and be like, I'll be okay.
I'm so sorry.
And I did like the line, I think it was her sister maybe, or she was talking to, when she says, or maybe she was talking to him, I can't remember, but she says, oh no, she was talking to him about whether this was a date or not. And she says, she says, I've had the Italian restaurant date. It usually starts with anti-pasta and then ends with me anti-everything. That's a good line.
Yeah, she was really funny. That's one of the other things I really like. She was really funny. She seemed very authentic as a person, very warm and things like that. And so, I thought she was hilarious. And it's like, but it was never really a date because there was someone else that he was working with. And so, but it also, I realize we're in a movie, so it's like TikTok, but she had been a nanny for like a week before it was all of a sudden like, are we dating?
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, in movie time, we got to move it along. But I mean,
Romeo and Juliet, it only took like a day. So
that's true. Excuse me. But I didn't feel like it was love at first sight. So I was like,
that's true. But I did love
when job through November.
when Zoe asks her about love, I think her response was so cute. She says, I think you know you're in love when you see something really beautiful and your first thought is I want them to see it too. Mm. Or they make you laugh, or you love what they love because they love it.
Yeah. So yeah, because it could be something that you totally hate, but you're like, oh my God, I love that. My partner loves that.
Yeah, that's right. But I love that idea that the first person that you want to tell about something that's great that's happened to you, or you see something beautiful and you want to share it.
Could even be a funny meme. You're like, all right, I gotta send this to.
So if you guys are ever doing a wedding toast, I think this would be a beautiful wedding toast. Yeah. You know you're in love when you see something really beautiful and your first thought is I want them to see it too. So thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. Vows written.
And also I liked when he says, I'll try my best to be there at the Halloween thing. And he says, yeah, I'll try my best. And she says, when you say I'll try my best, does it really mean no? I think that's so true. It's like the Jack Johnson song.
We say so many things that mean no without actually saying no.
So just like the Jack Johnson song, and it seems to me that maybe pretty much always means no.
Or we'll see. No. When my parents said that was like, we're seeing nothing. Nope, that's a no.
But they are really good in this movie about little flirting from the very beginning that I think helps so much with the chemistry that you're rooting for these people.
She can't even get in the house, and she's like waving at him.
But like she has flour in her hair, and he kind of like removes the flour, and just like there's like little moments where they touch, or little moments where they're kind of looking at each other that I think really help to kind of build the chemistry and make you really like these people and really want them to get together.
Yeah, and it never felt forced, because that's sometimes where I'm like, yuck, right? Like, oh, did you have to do that? I guess it was in this but like everything felt natural. Like they did feel like two people who should be together, and I was like, why are you even chatting with this other lady? I was like, no.
Yeah, and
not on board.
Zoe, I think it was the one that says to her, he loves work more than us.
Ooh, ouch.
And that does go all the way back to Mary Poppins, those little kids with that letter. It is an interesting thing though, because in life we spend so much time with work, no matter what your job is. And you'll spend 7-8 hours a day, depending on the job, maybe more, at work, and then maybe you see your kids for 3 or 4 hours, depending on when they go to bed, and that's supposed to be the priority. And I have to say, my dad did work from home, but he was excellent at this.
Yeah.
I never felt like we weren't the priority, and and I know he was under a ton of pressure because was running a small business.
Yeah.
He was working, 80, 90 hours a week sometimes, especially when my mom she had to go into full bed rest for pregnancies.
Oh, wow.
Incredibly stressful. And he had to do everything and all of that stuff, especially when I was a teenager. Of course, I didn't recognize it as outstanding. It was just like, well, that's dad being dad. That's his job. And, but now looking back on it, I mean, I almost never felt that all well up on him. He never like seemed to lose it. Certainly around us. And I don't know, I give my
dad.
I know. I give him all the credit in the world because he was so good at separating work. And it's even harder for him because he
When you're in the home, you have to like separate
working from home. And also, he also worked in a family business for part of his job. And so it's even harder, to kind of keep it separate. And I don't know, I just think that was outstanding that he did. But it is very difficult. Even as a single person, I mean, my life, I can't even count the number of hours because I have my regular job and then I have my podcast job. And so I there's nothing, I mean, I don't know, trying to give priority to some other things is very difficult for me right now. So I think about, man, if I had kids, I mean, I just couldn't do what I do. There's no way.
I think about that a lot. Like, I think about sometimes where I'm like, I don't think I can get everything done. Because like Rachel, I have a regular job. I have 2 podcasts. And I have a high intensive service role on campus in addition to being a professor. And I have 2 cats and a dog. And I say that because I can see my cat out of the corner of my eye trying to jump on the table. So at some point we might get
it's okay.
some cat action. But I think about that a lot because it's like all the things going on, like I can't imagine adding in kids to that. And I just think about all the things that people do and being sure people have their lunches and they have this field trip form signed and this cupcakes are made for this thing and that thing.
I mean,
and that's just like elementary school. I mean, you're not even getting into like travel for team sports and other things of that nature. And then you deal with bullying and other, like, I'm just like, whoa, it's a lot. And like thinking back on my childhood, I don't think we always joke because my mom never missed anything, but she missed one thing and my brother noticed and mom didn't show up. She's like, that dang kid, I was there for everything. Like the one time my dad was probably at things less, but he was in business for himself, like your dad. And he was in a high pressure job. He was a lawyer. And so I know there were a lot of times that he wasn't at home, but we created time together as a family. And so one of the things that we did as a family would go see movies on Saturday afternoons. And so he would go to work in the morning, we would go to a movie, and then he might go work and then come back later. And so that was probably for a few years. But I always feel like when it mattered, he was there. And I think there's only like a handful of times when it was like, when he wasn't. And I think that most people realize, kids realize at a certain age, like they didn't realize, like my brother was like, and mom's not here. Sometimes they notice, and then other times it's like, no, I know he can't be here. I know he would be here if he could, but he never missed prom, graduations, honors. I don't think I was in honor society.
Well, my parents
whatever I was in cheerleading paper. I was like, I don't think I was in honors. I'm just rewriting my don't worry about it.
My parents weren't the best about coming to activities, but granted, I was not the most welcoming when it came to like, stay away from me, mom and dad. You're
Mom, you're ruining my life.
I was a teenager. But in other ways, like, cause you can't do everything. You can't. And my mom had a baby when I was a freshman in high school. And so she had to be on full bed rest. Plus they had a 4-year-old or 7-year-old. I can't remember how old. Much older than my sister.
Were they
my brother.
They
had a young
society?
They had a young child and they had a baby. And you can't do everything with teenagers that you're going to be able to do. And in a way, I think that was actually, it all worked out for the best because I was able to become very, very independent. Like I give myself a major pat on the back because we have this thing at church called early morning seminary, which is every morning at like 6 or 6:30. I can't remember, but I got myself up and out to seminary pretty much every morning, and I graduated and everything like that. And I was just a very like independent. I wanted to do things my own way, so it was actually for the best.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I was just I never felt like work piled up on my dad. And so, maybe he wasn't at all the events and activities and stuff like that because that's just not who he is as a person.
Not what you wanted, apparently, either. You're like, go away.
That's right. But I don't know. Especially running my own sort of small business with this podcast, I just really am impressed by how he's always been able to kind of not bring that over to home life. And anyway, that's a long time about, but
I think there's an important point here, though, that that goes back to the movie and why we were talking about that. And then, of course, we're talking about our dads, who it sounds like we appreciate. So it's like we can talk about dads all day long, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or at least our dads, right? And so, but I think there's an important point, and I think this movie is a good reminder. And it doesn't matter what path you're on in life or where you're at in your journey. If you're young and you're like, I'm not even thinking about marriage, or I'm not thinking about kids, or you're just having kids, or you've had kids, it doesn't matter. One of the things is that the majority of our life is spent in the workplace.
Yeah.
So
it's exactly right.
It's something I talk to students a lot about, because sometimes it's like, you don't, they say it won't be a job. You won't work a day in your life if you love the job you have, something like that. No, even when you love your job, you work. Okay?
Yeah, you do.
And we change our careers now more often than we did like previous generations. And it is really important not only to select a career if you have that luxury that you enjoy and is fulfilling and that sort of thing, but really taking into account what the boundaries are for hours. Because I went to this conference one time, and someone was talking about work-life balance, and they talked about how they didn't like to call it that because it was never going to be balanced.
Yeah.
And so it's talking about like
right.
work-life management. And so there are going to be some days maybe dad does have to be away because he has this meeting, but I'm like, you're the company. You tell him when the meeting is, or like just move it 2 hours ahead so it doesn't conflict with the one day of the year kids are freaking excited about besides their birthdays. Like that and Christmas, it's like, come on, you're not going to have a meeting on Christmas. You shouldn't have a meeting on Halloween when kids have to have stuff going on.
And the kids, they have this little evaluation period thing with him. They do a little, and it was so cute. And I thought they did such a good job with it.
Oh my God, they're going to be professional. They're going to be
because it was so loving, I thought. And so I thought it was really cute. And they say to him, when should we be first? And they say, in summation, you should probably make more of an effort in the dad department.
They make him sit down in like the little kid's chair. They don't even have an adult chair for him. They got note cards. I was like, as a public speaking, like one of the things I teach, I don't teach it all the time, but my department house is public speaking. So the communicator and be like, oh, they practice. They have notes. They were dressed for it. They made him sit down. I was like, oh, it
really does feel like the little kids in Mary Poppins.
Yeah, it was so cute. I was cracking up because I was like, you let them know. And I think that it was really cool because it encourages parents and children having conversation, not just something where it goes from parents to children and that's that. Like, that children, especially when they're going through grief and trauma and other things like that, need people to talk to. And until they had a nanny they didn't have anyone in their corner either, And so I think that encouraging them to use their voices is really important because they're saying, Dad, we're going through a hard time. You know what we need? We need you. And we want you. And we know you're there. You're just going to have to work better at it.
Yeah. It was good. And she says, I think I'm good at this temporarily. And so she's finally found something that she feels.
But she's still not willing to commit.
I know.
Being a nanny.
But at least it's the first time she's felt like she was good at something. That's true. It wasn't just a total screw up. So it's progress.
That is very ego, like an ego boost, like, and not even that. We all have moments where we feel proud of ourselves. And I don't think that's something like cocky or arrogant. I think we all need to have those things that we know that we accomplished something good. Yeah. And, I think one of the reasons why she maybe hasn't been able to commit is because she's never felt proud or like she did a good job at yoga, especially.
Well, I think we also need to be sort of aware of our strengths. That's a healthy thing. In fact, I was doing an interview today and we were I was saying, I'm so bad at crafts. Like I am the worst at any kind of knitting or anything like that. I do not have patience. It's too much with my hands. I don't know. I'm not good at it. And And so the person I was talking to, he said, well, what are you really good at? What would you say you're really good at? And I was like, I think I'm really good at podcasting. No, but no, what I said, I do. I think I'm good at podcasting, and I think I am a pretty darn good writer.
Yeah, get it.
So, but it did. It kind of felt good to be able to say, like, some people might think that's bragging, but I think it's good to be aware, kind of what we're good at and what makes us happy. So she's just starting to realize this, and so then we have him going to the pumpkin patch with the kids. So that's a step in the right direction.
All right.
And we also found out that they Googled each other, which was cute, I thought. Let's do that.
We've moved into to new technology when we have you. I think they call that, like, sometimes it'd be like if you look up someone's Facebook. I don't like the terminology, but people call it like Facebook stalking or
we all do it. Don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. We could come up with a better name for it.
Yeah, that's true. So I thought that banter was really cute between them. They can't lift the pumpkin together. It's too heavy.
That was one big pumpkin. It's really like Target team lift over here.
And then he goes on this date with Abigail. This is the Italian restaurant date. And then
they work together too. Yeah.
Yeah. But Zoe says you should marry our dad. And then they have sort of this friends hug that they say, it's just a friends hug. And says, someone would think we are an old married couple that met on a blind date. And
they did.
They kind of did.
He's on the phone, and when she shows up, she's trying to get his attention, even though he's on the phone, which it might be like, wait a minute, or ring the doorbell or something. But she like goes over there, is waving at each window, and then she falls. And so it's like, that's the first meeting. And I think they seem to like each other from the very beginning.
Yeah. When they have that little dance together, that was really good. And I do believe sometimes you just know. Sometimes, I know my uncle and aunt have told me their story many times, and that literally and then they do the story so funny.
Oh yeah, because they can together.
He says when she walked into the room the first time he saw her, it was like, oh, that was it. He knew, and that's it. And sometimes that happens.
I wonder if we've ever walked in the room and someone thought that, but was too chicken.
So I loved that dancing scene. It's so cute, and I love her making she does the kind of costumes more that I do, where it's more of sort of assembly.
Yeah,
I think there's a little bit of sewing involved. Which I don't do. I don't sew.
Yeah.
But I'm more about sort of assembling pieces together.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's kind of more her style of making.
Yeah. Right now I got a headband, but I have made some stuff in the past. I was the Wicked Witch of the East, and that's the one that's underneath the house. So I wore a black dress, the tights, and red shoes, but I made this whole thing where it looked like the house was on my head. So I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah, it looks
good. Yeah,
good.
she makes cool costumes. Like,
yeah,
and of course she's the mermaid, and then what was the daughter? What was Zoe? Was she like a pop singer or something like that?
I just wrote down what Zach was. I forgot to write down what she was.
It was cool, whatever. Yeah, I don't remember either. But then
he's a spider, which is perfect.
And then, of course, Dad was a knight.
Yeah, knight in shining armor, which was so cute.
Yeah.
And I did love when Abigail and Poppy are talking, because we haven't really talked about Abigail, but I loved when she says, kids are like CEOs, but shorter and smarter. It's really good.
Accurate.
Yeah, that was good. But how did you feel like the movie treated Abigail? Because sometimes the other woman can be kind of an ice queen, terrible. Yeah. How did you feel like they did? I
didn't feel like they were right for each other. I mean, it makes sense because they work together. So I think that's where similarity. I mean, when you spend that much time on work, it's no surprise that people would be interested with other people that they work with, or that relationships would blossom out of the workplace because you spend the majority of time there, right?
Yeah.
though sometimes people don't have time to date, and they start relationships in their office. So like that makes sense. And I think that they have that work-minded, that's a similar idea, but I don't think she was ready for kids. I don't think she had as much interest in that. I think that she was just more interested in him in terms like he's an attractive, smart, funny guy, right? And so,
Yeah,
but I don't think she was ready for the complete life of it all, and then like the complete picture. But also, I just thought the nanny was obviously
well, but I feel like they did a good job of not demonizing her or making her to an ice queen of business. I mean, the only way to do that to make it work is if you go the path of like the Parent Trap, both versions with Vicky/Meredith, and you make it really funny. Yeah. Then I can handle all of that because it's hilarious.
Can we just time out for just a second? And Meredith is that the name of her from the most recent one? So Dennis Quaid just got engaged to the woman, and she tweeted, "Watch out for those twins."
Yeah, classic. That was really funny.
Parent Trap's a classic, so
but it's so funny, and so it makes it work.
Trope. Yeah, I don't know if I'd get mad at that trope, but I think like it could have gone that route. I think it was starting to go there, but I think she even starts to discover that she's not right for this relationship either.
And so I thought they actually treated her pretty well. Like she's not that catty, she's not rude. Like she's just, she's just a businesswoman that takes her, and the fact that he still is going to be working with her, and I don't know. I thought they did a good job of her character.
What was the movie that I really liked? This is the thing, I get bad with names. With Jesse Metcalf, the friend.
Country Wedding.
Country Wedding. Yeah. Okay, they did that girl dirty.
That's true. Catherine.
Woman. Yeah, Catherine.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Sorry, as I said, I grew up Lifetime, and so all of the Hallmark movies I've watched essentially have been with or for Rachel.
That's okay. But so then Ryan and Abigail end up kissing, and Poppy sees it and kind of freaks out.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem. And and so she tells the kids that Abigail's here, and I can't remember who she says, but that Abigail's here. I'm in the way. And then she talks to him, and he says, if you want to leave, just leave now. And so that's kind of rough. I mean, I feel like anybody would say you need to at least say goodbye to the kids. Like that doesn't.
Yeah, that was really like
rough.
Is he a dad? Because like, are you a parent? Because like, yeah, there should be an opportunity to say goodbye to the kids, especially since they've had such a good relationship. And so then they are going to think that they've done something wrong, or that she doesn't like them. Even if the dad reassures them that that's not the case, I think, as long as it's a good relationship between the nanny and the kids, there should be a chance to say goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so she tells her sister there's no kisses with friends, and she's like, that's not an app. So, food with friends. And
accurate.
And then they say, Dad will always be too busy for us, so we just have to get used to it. And then he says, I know you guys miss Poppy. I miss her too. And so it's getting very sad.
Like, come on, Dad, get it together.
Yeah. And so Abigail tells him, well, it's just one night. The kids are going to benefit from your success. And then he says, it wouldn't be so hard if I knew Poppy was with them. That's when Abigail starts to realize, like, wait a minute here.
Yeah, she knows, like, this isn't going to work for them.
Yeah, and so she tells him, I'm going to take the job offer in Japan. And then you'll also have Poppy saying, oh, I'm just going to give out the candy. She says, no child will be left uncandied, which I thought was funny. And then she also mistakes two of the kids at the door for being Zoe and Zach. And just, she's really struggling here. And then she tells them their dad is the best guy I've met, kind and funny and totally for me. And she has this realization,
Mm-hmm.
he's for me. And so this is
like nothing has been for her yet
yeah.
in life. That nothing has been for her. And so
Yeah.
now
And so
it's
the
there for
assistant
her.
is at home. His assistant is there trying to get them ready, and she's struggling or whatever. And he goes up, he gives the presentation. Like I said, this is usually a scene I hate, where they're like mid presentation. It's like, I got to be home right now. She's like, finish the presentation. It'll be like another 10 minutes. Like, what? But they do it pretty well here. It's pretty cute. And he turns the time over to Abigail, and she's, of course, can do just as good a job as he can. And so he heads home, and Poppy's made this mermaid costume. And so super cute. She's adorable. And then he makes his knight in shining armor costume, and knock, knock, knock on the door. And there she is. And I thought the ending is so cute. This is perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. It was really good. And this is how does permanently yours sound? It was so cute. I love that.
That's the thing. I just think that overall, like, the writing was really good.
Yeah.
Who did you say her name was?
Her
Mackenzie.
name is Mackenzie Austin. Is her name.
Yeah. I thought she did a really good job. Or he. I don't know.
I believe, yeah.
Mackenzie.
Yeah, way to go, Mackenzie.
I just think that it was like not, again, like it's not forced. It was cute. It was well delivery, but also well written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is directed by a woman, which is interesting too when you think about it in a lot of ways. And I just think it's a really well done Hallmark movie. If you wanted to recommend to somebody a like really kind of traditional Hallmark movie that has kind of all the tropes, other things like that, but is really good, then I think this would be a really good traditional Hallmark movie. Plus, it is kind of unique in the sense that it is got all those Halloween trappings, which, as we saw this year, they only had 2 Fall Harvest movies, and one of them was like not really a Fall Harvest movie, so they really only had one. And so, yeah, this is fun to have a true Halloween movie from Hallmark, and I just love Ashley in this role, and I love Sam in his role, and they had such great chemistry. And like I said, they did such a good job of like just bringing little moments where they sort of touched, whether it's dancing or him picking flour out of her hair. And I think that all just added together to really create a satisfying ending and real chemistry. And you just wanted these 2 people to be happy and fall in love. And so they did a really good job. I think with what they were trying to do.
And it wasn't just the 2 of them being together. Here you have a family together. You have his kids, and I think that it genuinely feels like a family that you can root for, like that I would want to see them together and see what they're going to do for Halloween next year. So maybe there should be another one, even though it came out in 2015, time for a sequel.
Yeah, I think so. I think I could see another sequel. Of course, the kids will be way old. Maybe by this point they would have had their own kids. So they'll be batch number 2 to try with. I don't know. But
they're still tween/teenagers. It could be fun.
So great. Well, yeah. So we are kind of taking a break from On Friendship for November and December because we will be covering, just so many Christmas movies. There's really not any podcasting time, but Alysa will be joining us to cover 1 week of those Christmas movies. So we'll hopefully find another cookie crawl.
Oh my God.
Is that still your favorite?
Yes. And I want cookies now. Can I eat cookies while on podcast? Is that frowned upon? No. Oh my God. You just saying cookie crawl, you just got me excited.
There are 180,000 cookies or whatever they made.
Oh my God.
So so we will be back together, but we'll do On Friendship again in January. So that'll be really fun. If you have any suggestions for future episodes that would be fun, let us know in the comment section or on Twitter. And we would love to talk about it. If you love this movie like we do, then let us know. and what things you love about it. We'd love to talk about it. So,
what did you rate it? What's your rating of it? Where does this stand among all the other Hallmarky movies or Hallmark movies
I don't have
covered?
Well, the ones that we've covered, I would probably put it. I think Country Wedding is still my favorite, even though I like the leads better in this. But I still love I think Country Wedding is still my favorite, and then I would say that maybe Christmas Choir / this are about the same for me. Both really good in my opinion.
Do you see my face? I'm like, excuse? Yeah, Christmas Choir was good, but I think this is number 2.
Number 2, yeah.
Country.
Yeah, this is really good. Though this number 2 and then Christmas Choir, which I think is really strong. And then that's an interesting question, the ranking. What else do we talk about?
About that strange Blythe Danner movie.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely at the bottom. And then Christmas Choir, and then Love at the Christmas Table.
Yeah.
And then
the Blythe Danner movie. I love her though. She's amazing.
Yeah,
they
that
tried
was a weird
hard.
It was a fun one. I had a great time doing the podcast about it, though.
Oh, and then we also had the Flight movie. I don't remember what it was called.
Love Takes Flight. That was a good one too. I would probably still.
I'm not very good with titles. I'm like, oh, you know that one with planes? I'm like someone's grandma explaining movies to people. And this one had a table.
Well, we've had a ton of fun doing this, and we look forward to doing it again at the beginning of the year. That'll be January, will be my birthday month, so that'll be fun.
So you get to choose?
Yeah. So I'll come up with something that's more. This just seemed too perfect that it would be really fun to talk about. So we'll come up with something that's a little more friendship based in January. But let us know if you have any thoughts, and we would love to hear that. And so, Lisa, where can people find you and your podcasts and everything?
Yep, I have Best Forever's podcast, which is a podcast for kindred spirits. It's all about friendship, and it's Best Forever's pod on all the social media sites, and it's on all your favorite podcatchers. And I'm Dr. Alysa Lucas on Twitter.
Great. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So make sure to check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please give us your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you're listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that too. And if you would consider becoming a patron of the channel, that's the best way to become our friend. And we have our Facebook group, which is really fun. And then we also have giveaways and other exclusive content that's available for as little as $2 a month. So really good deal. And it's a really fun community to be a part of. So check that out. And thanks you guys so much. And we'll be ready moving on to Christmas. I think this is the last non-Christmas podcast we'll do all year. So thanks so much.
I can't wait for cookies. Thank you, Rachel.